Hello, my name is Russell Myers. Welcome to Issues Unite. Let's talk about Palestine. Actually, let's talk about more than Palestine. All right, so now the Biden administration says, that they'll send $5 million. $5 million. That's not enough to build one building. That won't rebuild the 13-story apartment complex that got destroyed by Israel. But $5 million to Palestine to help rebuild. And at the same time, they are selling $735 million worth of precision-guided munitions to Israel. Israel bombed Palestine in the past couple of weeks. In the last month, they have killed over 200 Palestinians, including over 60 children. $5 million. And $735 million in arms sales. But that's not enough. We're still giving $4 billion a year to Israel so that they can use that money to buy these $735 million. And what? 5 times, 6 times that much in weapons to murder Palestinians, to slaughter children. But how is this any surprise? This is absolutely no surprise. Biden said that he was going to pause weapons sales to Saudi Arabia, conducting genocide in Yemen. And then it turned out that, they're only he was only going to pause, and not stop, but pause, sales of aggressive, offensive weapons. But but he does not consider fighter jets and missiles to be offensive weapons. The Palestinians, they send rockets, barely any of which land. Because of the Iron Dome, funded by America, armed by America. People say, the Palestinians are terrorists. They have no military. They're not allowed to have a military. If they fight back against being brutally attacked, they hold peaceful marches, and over 120 people get shot by the Israeli military, including children and journalists and medics. These people get shot. They were acting as human shields. What the fuck were they shielding? There was nobody with any weapons. What were they shielding? They get violently raided. Their homes are raided. They're thrown out with no place to go, so that Israelis can come in and either destroy their homes or move into the homes that they have been living in for generations. What would you do? They call BDS, Our government calls BDS anti-Semitic. BDS is a non-aggressive, a peaceful form of protest. So they can't march. They can't organize a BDS boycott, divest, and sanction movement. Although other countries or other nations like Ireland are actually engaging in the BDS movement. Whole nations are backing the BDS movement. Do you realize that there are actually only two major countries that do not recognize Palestine as a state? That's right, the U.S. and Israel. Even parts of the UK recognize, officially or unofficially, recognize Palestine as a state. How can there be a two-state solution if you don't recognize one of the two states as a state? How can Americans back this? How can American civilians back this? Back in 2001, 20 years ago this year, in April and May of 2001, I wrote a series of predictions. And one of those predictions was that Americans would become more aware of and supportive of the Palestinian side of the Israel-Palestine conflict. I have been trying to raise awareness of the Palestinian side of this for that 20 years. The fact that it had to reach this level of violence, death, destruction is just amazing. It says so much about the American lack of consciousness, lack of awareness, the freaking indoctrination and brainwashing by corporate warmongering media, by politicians paid by AIPAC. People talk about, some Russian ad agency spending $100,000, half of which was after the 2016 election. And that's, interfering in our elections. AIPAC donates millions of dollars every single year. Lobbies our politicians directly, meeting with them in person. Our politicians go and give speeches at AIPAC meetings, voicing our unending support for freaking Israel. Who's interfering with our elections? You want to talk about a foreign government interfering in our elections? None of this is, anti-Jewish, and the term anti-Semitic is a complete misnomer. I don't hold anything against people of the Jewish faith. I'm against Zionists. I'm against people that are a nation that is conducting genocide, that is illegally occupying Gaza and the West Bank. That's what I hold. That's what I'm prejudiced against. People killing other human beings that have a right to be there. And as far as, being anti-Semitic, Semite is a genetic, hereditary thing. The Palestinians are Semites. They are Semites. It means people that whose ancestry originated in that area from ancient times. And there are more Palestinians with Semitic blood, Semitic genetics, than there are Israelis who came from Eastern European countries to take over land that did not belong to them and was granted by the Balfour Declaration, written by the UK and America, by occupying, colonizing countries that handed this land over. And even the land that was designated in the treaty, Israel has gone far beyond that, taking up more and more and more. People want to say Hamas is a terrorist organization. Hamas is not. Yes, they have a military arm. It's the only military that the freaking Palestinians have. It's the only way they can fight back. But Hamas is also a political organization. They are the government in Gaza. They used to say the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, was a terrorist organization. And, again, the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, arose in response to Israeli aggression. Hamas arose in response to Israeli aggression. Hezbollah arose as a response to Israeli aggression. Hezbollah is Lebanon, Hamas, and the PLO, Palestine. Israel is also illegally occupying the Golan Heights in Syria. Everything that they're doing, everything they do is illegal. They have nuclear weapons without declaring them and without being part of the IAEA. But they object to Iran having conventional missiles for defense. Yeah, in addition to having a militant wing and political, Hamas and Hezbollah are also social support organizations that provide medical care, food, and social services to Palestinians and Hezbollah in Lebanon. Kind of like the Black Panthers used to be here. They had a militant side, a medical side, a social service side. And isn't it funny how the United States government always wants to go after any of those? Do you hear about any medical or social support side to the KKK? No, you don't. Name any organization that stands up against fascism that incorporates all of these different aspects that the U.S. government does not oppose. Name any one of them. You cannot, because there is none. If such a group arises basically in any country, the United States opposes it. FARC in Colombia. Any socialist government, anywhere in the world, oh, they're terrorists, they're dictators, they're, authoritarian. Yeah. But selling arms and bombing countries isn't authoritarian or fascist. You need to think about what side you're on. Are you on the side of governments, countries that slaughter human beings and the governments that back those governments, ours? Are you on that side? Or are you on the side of the victims that are just trying to survive? $5 million ain't shit. Especially in the face of $735 million in arms sales and $4 billion in aid. Aid that Israel doesn't need. Aid that we are giving them while Americans, they have universal health care, we don't. During the pandemic, we don't even have the hope of universal health care. In about 1 month, 10 million Americans are going to face homelessness because the eviction moratorium ends. But we're still giving money to Israel. What are you for? What are you for? I stand with Palestine. I stand with Palestine. I stand with Syria. I stand with Iran. I stand on the side of every country, every people on this planet that are being oppressed and abused and slaughtered. I stand with the Americans that are facing homelessness, that face food insecurity. I stand with real Americans. Whose side are you on? Share this video. Talk about these subjects. If you can, please donate $1 a month to help expand the channel. I'll catch you in the next one.